Hey guys, it's Liz. Today we're going to be talking about Chapter 1, Segment 3, which discusses how women and minorities were long excluded in the psychology field. At this time and age in psychology, most women were denied admission to most undergraduate institutions. And for certain women who did manage to get an undergraduate degree somewhere, most universities would not even consider them for doctorate programs. And we never know how many contributions women could have made to psychology if they were even allowed to get their doctorates. I know it sounds pretty surprising, and even Sigmund Freud, who is a famous psychologist that we all know, had some type of opinion in this era. He came up with this mental disorder called hysteria that at the time believed to be caused by a malfunctioning uterus. And well, today that would have been ridiculous. And he came up with this mental disorder, and he used it as an excuse to why women were quote unquote unsuitable to become scientists in the field of psychology and scientists overall. But as we can see, more women ended up overcoming the societal obstacles, and they were determined to make their own personal step in psychology. One person who we've already discussed is Margaret Floyd Washburn, and she was the second president in the APA and was the first American woman to earn a PhD in psychology. We're going to the next page now. The next woman we're going to talk about is Mary Whiton Calkins. She was the first president of the APA, and she wrote a book called Introduction to Psychology, and she was not allowed to get her doctorate degree from Harvard, even though she spent 3 years writing this thesis. And well, I just gotta say, again, ridiculous. The next one we're going to talk about is Mary Cover Jones. Mary Cover Jones was inspired by the behaviors John B. Watson, and she developed this technique called desensitization, which was created to treat phobias. And this technique, it involved repeatedly exposing a patient to stimuli that were gradually more and more like the feared objects. And at the time it was kind of ignored, but it's still used today, and it seems like a really good way of treating phobias. She ended up going on to publish many studies, and she ended up studying the emotional development and puberty in children. So now we're going to start discussing the minorities in psychology. So yes, women were not, important to psychology at that time, even though they should have been, but people of color were also ignored. But someone who overcame this obstacle was Francis Sumner. He was the first African American to earn a doctorate in psychology from Clark University. He went on to chair the psychology department at a historically black Howard University for nearly 25 years and trained many people who themselves became influential psychologists. Kenneth Clark and Mamie Phipps Clark entered the doctoral program at Columbia. Both Clarks were also African Americans, and they were the first and second African Americans awarded doctorate programs in psychology from Columbia. Together they developed the Clark doll test, where children were shown 2 dolls that were identical, except one was white and one was black. When asked which was the nice doll and which was the bad doll, most children, even the black children, identify the white doll as the nice one, and the one they would most prefer to have, and the one that most closely resembled themselves. The cool thing about this test is that the U.S. Supreme Court used it as evidence when discussing whether or not to require schools to integrate black and white children together. Kenneth Clark was the first black president of the APA and overcame his societal obstacle. And that is where we end today's discussion.